Now let's turn to Suzanne Craig. She is an investigative reporter for the New York Times and one of the lead reporters on the Times' multi-year investigation into Donald Trump's finances that won a Pulitzer Prize in 2019. So she is literally the perfect person to talk to about the Ways and Means Committee's decision today. Sue, how are you greeting this news as a reporter? Is there stuff in here that you still do not know the answer to? Is there information that you're particularly interested in finding out that you have not thus far been able to find out in your extensive reporting?
Well, I'm smiling because 1 second before I came on air, the report came out. So I'm trying not to look over here and read it. But there's probably going to be a lot in there. But I think I don't think we're going to find anything too crazy that we haven't known before. The New York Times obtained 3 or 4 out of the 5 years that are being released today, and we have more information than they do in terms of individual businesses. We found Donald Trump is not a great businessman. Most of his businesses lose a fair bit of money. I don't think we're going to see a break from that. We're going to find out in the last 2 years. He had a change of fortune. In fact, you're probably going to see COVID had a pretty big effect on his businesses. But this audit issue is interesting, and I want to break out kind of the presidential audit, and then the audit that we found out that if it goes against him could cost him in excess of $100 million. We learned today that audit, which started in 2009, is still open, it sounds like. And then there's the regular presidential audits that are supposed to be done that weren't done. I have to say it's kind of one of the least shocking things I've heard today, but it is sort of surprising that they weren't even bothering to do it. So those are kind of two separate. Yeah.
Why is that not surprising to you? Congressman Kildee seemed very shocked, and you don't seem shocked at all. Can you explain the gulf there?
When I find out that there's gambling in a casino, I'm not surprised. I mean, after everything we lived through with the Trump administration, to learn that, the IRS didn't audit his taxes as they were supposed to. I mean, that's the least surprising thing I think I've heard come out of the 4 years of the Trump administration. I mean, it's upsetting. As a taxpayer and as a citizen, you would have hoped that they would have done it. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they don't have enough staff to dedicate it to it. You think they would have a team of people that could do it. Maybe there was an order from on high not to do it. We don't know. But I just, it's shocking, but not shocking, I guess is what I'm saying on that. But it is interesting that the other audit that we learned about when we did the story in 2020, when we got a huge amount of tax information, we also learned some information about that big audit. That apparently is still open. So that's definitely something to watch. And if it goes against him, with penalties and interest now, it could go well above $100 million. That is not a small amount of money for anybody, including Donald Trump.
When we talk about the financial straits that Trump finds himself in, there's that potential looming $100 million. Last month, a judge appointed an independent monitor to oversee the Trump Organization. Alan Weisselberg, his chief financial officer for the Trump Organization, is going to jail. Letitia James, the New York AG, has a civil fraud suit against him that could effectively shut down the business from, operating in the state of New York.
Let's stop on that one. Because that one, and it may settle and we don't know what's going to happen, but that one could go upwards of $250 million. And these fines aren't tax deductible. He can't go in and then use it to reduce his taxable income. I mean, that's a big number. And then you think, you're seeing signs of stress in his business. I mean, the biggest one we can point to is the sale of the old post office hotel. He recently built it. It was a crown jewel in his collection of hotels and golf properties that he has, and they sold it. And then separately, I have to say, this everybody kind of is laughing at this, whatever, these fungible, this NTF thing that he's doing, where
NFTs.
He's putting out trading cards. NFTs, yeah. I mean, that looked crazy, right? And I don't think anybody's saying it doesn't look crazy. This is a guy who cares about his brand or cared about his brand. This is not good for the brand. And this is sort of where he's at. And you have to question, why is he doing it? Well, I think there's probably a bag of money at the end of it. And that's why he did it. But it's not good for his brand. And a lot of things he's been doing aren't good for his brand. But he just continues down this slippery slope. But there was a point in time where he had a brand that was, very thought of in many circles to sort of stand for high quality.
Yeah, I think a lot of people looked at the sale of the NFTs, Trump dressed up as a superhero and like a firefighter and an astronaut, and chuckled at it, but it was actually indicative of a man who seems desperate. I mean, this is the kind of marketing. This makes the Trump vodka and the Trump steaks look like high-class marketing ploys, right? I mean, this was...
No, I mean, it makes the Trump ties look like the best thing ever. I mean, it does. And the first thing I thought when I saw it was, wow, he must need money.
And his fundraising, even as a political figure, is greatly diminished from when his announcement for his 2024 campaign. Yeah. He raised exponentially less money than he did when he announced his last presidential bid. So what we're looking at is a picture of a man who seems increasingly desperate in the arena that he perhaps cares most about, which is financial prowess.
Right. And the other thing that's important, and the tax return information that we saw was up until 2018, and you were seeing going into that, he had The Apprentice, and The Apprentice brought in a lot of money, not just directly from The Apprentice, but he got all these other deals around it, these branding deals, and he was able to do hotel deals overseas and other things. And we saw going into to the presidency and leading up to actually when he ran that was falling off, and it's not doing well now. You haven't seen since he left office that countries around the world, there's hotels calling him saying, put your name on my hotel. So that income has dried up. There's just not a lot of good signs that we were seeing coming into this. And I just don't think, the additional information we're going to get, there's probably going to be some really interesting stuff in it, but I don't think it's going to cut across the narrative that we were seeing.
Suzanne Craig, investigative reporter for the New York Times, the oracle when it comes to Trump's taxes. Sue, thanks for joining us tonight. We will be back to you soon for more.
Thank you for having me.